So recently, I've been spending a lot more time messing around Super Mario 3D Land. I feel like because I missed this game when it originally launched, that I'm just now experiencing what it has to offer. Being a huge fan of 3D World, I'm glad I finally picked it up and have been dissecting it over the past few months. And one of those things I've been experimenting with are Goomba Towers. Yes, those stacks of angry baddies that tower over you. So today's video is going to be all about those weird fellas and pushing the game to its absolute limits. So one of the things I was super curious about was just how many Goombas could be stacked within Super Mario 3D Land's engine. It's very common to run across stacks that are smaller in number, but that alone got me super curious. I ran into enemy stacks really often playing Super Mario Maker 2 on Swanky Zone. And within Mario Maker, you really have a lot of options. So given this, I wanted to see what the game would do if we tried to create a Goomba Tower that had 300 Goombas in it. There is really just a variable assigned to the number, and when it is increased, the game will apply the correct number of Goombas to the stack. So I set to 300, booted up the first world in the game, and then was unfortunately a bit disappointed. I really was hoping to see a Goomba stack that stretched into the skies above, but it looks like the game caps the limit at 10 Goombas. This is unfortunate because part 2 of this plan was going to see just how many Goombas I could smash with a single ground pound. A stratospheric ground pound would have been super fun, but since this isn't an option, we have to try something else. So while we can't create one giant stack of Goombas, we can sort of pluck a page from Steve Gaming's world and try to have all the Goombas spawn in a single space. For this to work, we first need a cage to put the Goomba Towers in, so they won't overflow. Enemies are capable of pushing each other, which under normal circumstances would force all the Goomba Towers apart. But because all the Goombas are spawned at the same exact coordinates, they are capable of overlapping each other. If they had the ability to move, they would all spread out, but the buffer on their collision doesn't work because we have them locked in place. So we have stacks on stacks on stacks of 10 stacks of Goombas. So I've tried loading in tons of Goombas at once, but it seems the max the game can process before crashing is around 400 Goombas, or 40 stacks of 10. With these 400 Goombas, I then gave them a mighty ground pound, but something strange happened. While ground pounding, Mario actually took damage, and it changed the trajectory of the pound. Hypothetically, this should have killed a lot more Goombas, but this ground pound granted me only 5 extra lives, meaning our kill count was super low. For reference, an extra life is granted for every additional Goomba defeated after the first 3. So if done normally, we'd walk away with 10 coins and 7 1-ups for stomping down a tower of 10 Goombas. A normal stack of Goombas can even be ground pounded to accelerate this process, and we still get the same spoils of war. But due to how insanely concentrated the Goombas are, Mario is only able to defeat barely any. The sheer thickness of the stack forces Mario away from the pile, thus inflicting damage on Mario eventually since he's both hitting Goombas on the head, but also parallel to the ones he couldn't defeat. If we slow down this process and use normal jumps, it becomes very clear that there's either a max cap on how many enemies can be acted upon with a single action, or that the extreme slowdown nature of the game is causing the action delay. It takes 11 hits to clear the first layer, and only 7 to clear the second layer. Mind you, the 11 hit counter could be error prone due to Goomba displacement. The quicker 7 hit clear for 40 Goombas is also because we sink down once that layer is smashed completely, thus taking damage. During this damage, the game lags, so we hit more Goombas than usual because of the delay. Extra lives are really the only way to keep track of defeated Goombas, so I did want to see how many total Goombas could be defeated if Mario was invulnerable. For this exercise, we'll be using the Invincibility Star, because the white Tanuki suit doesn't reward the player with extra lives because it already thinks they're terrible at the game. With an Invincibility Star active, I gave the stack another ground pound, and even though I should defeat all the Goombas upon touching them, I was still pushed to the side. The game could only process so much damage in a single moment, so it still pushes Mario away from the stack. But how much damage was done? Because technically, we were still able to continue killing Goombas as we moved down due to the Power Star. On average, we were able to defeat over half the Goombas, netting us a usual range between 200 and 220. Half the Goombas would always survive. But we must also keep in mind that the ground pound has recovery frames before Mario stands back up. So even after landing, he is still killing Goombas. So technically, less than half the Goombas were defeated before Mario or Luigi touched the ground. As it stands, it looks like the most Goombas that can be defeated this way cap out this number. There's probably different types of arrangements that can be utilized, or even tighter parameters as my layout was a bit sloppy. But it looks like the numbers aren't as high as I thought they would be. You're basically better off hopping onto a stack of 400 Goombas than ground pounding them. Unless you have an Invincibility Star, of course. I think the ground pounding animation for defeating a full stack might play a role in this too. But as it stands, the most kills I ever got on this massive stack of Goombas was 20 kills with a single ground pound to the center of the stack. Keep in mind, my container I was using also prevented me from hitting the very bottom layer of the Goombas too. Now before you say, but Swanky, what about single Goombas? I tried that too. Trying to attack a stack of 50 solo Goombas was extremely sad. The game only registers so many hits, and you end up defeating 7 total Goombas with a perfect center ground pound. It seems that 7 may be the magic number when it comes to defeat count associated with an attack. So, maybe you were expecting a huge number coming to this video, but the game is actively against killing Goombas, man. My best record was 20 with a 10 stack setup, and 7 with a single pile setup. Stars obviously help, but I think it's sort of an outlier since it's really not your attack doing the damage anymore. Anyways, I hope you found this experiment pretty enjoyable regardless. And with that, thanks for watching guys and gals, and if you enjoyed this, consider subscribing for more weird stuff to come. And until my next video, cheers.